On Monday, the president of El Salvador offered to house U.S. citizens in its prisons. In a statement posted on his Twitter account, El Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele writes this, quote, "We have offered the United States of America the opportunity to outsource part of its prison system. We are willing to take in only convicted criminals, including convicted U.S. citizens, into our mega prison, CCOT, in exchange for a fee. The fee would be relatively low for the U.S., but significant for us, making our entire prison system sustainable." Okay, first off, mega prison. I already do not like the sound of that. And U.S. citizen, oh yes, we're going to take in only the convicted criminals. By the way, this would also include undocumented immigrants, right? But in addition to U.S. citizens, yikes. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who received that offer when he visited, called it the most unprecedented and extraordinary migratory agreement anywhere in the world. Wait, you're not seriously considering this, are you, Marco? He said no country's ever made an offer of friendship such as this. That's not what I would call it. I would call it dictators of a feather, okay? Look, when President Bukele got into office, he had violated people's civil rights. Yes, he was able to crack down on crime and gang activity, but by breaking people's civil rights, okay? So he also, locked up a bunch of people. The prison population shot up huge. And, of course, people going into that prison, CCOT, it's one of the worst prison systems in the hemisphere, okay? It's bad. It's so bad that the State Department had an advisory on it saying that El Salvador's prison and detention centers conditions are, quote, harsh and dangerous. They also talked about overcrowding, which constitutes a serious threat to prisoners' health and lives. It's even worse. They said that in many facilities, provisions for sanitation, potable water, ventilation, temperature control, and lighting are inadequate or non-existent. That's how bad it is. CCOT has also been described as one of the most ruthless prison facilities in the world, with human rights groups calling for its closure over various human rights violations. And yet, the president of El Salvador is like, oh yeah, no, we stuffed a whole bunch of people in there, and guess what? For a low fee, you can stuff people in here too. Undocumented immigrants, you can shove them in there. I mean, you're already sending them Gitmo anyway. So why not, save a little bit of a trip, do a little bit of a detour, stuff them into our horrible prison system. And as a bonus, you can throw in your violent criminals. Great. I mean, look, here's what I fear will happen. That it will turn into a prison camp for people that Donald Trump doesn't like. Okay? And I'm not exactly saying that they're all going to be the violent criminals. Okay? Because he says all this stuff about undocumented immigrants, we're getting rid of the violent ones, we're getting rid of the criminal ones. When in reality, no, that's not true. There's a huge percentage of the people that he is deporting right now have no criminal record whatsoever. So that was a lie. And so, yeah, I don't trust that Trump wouldn't throw his political opponents into CCOT, the worst prison imaginable. Okay. I mean, this is really, really scary. Okay. Now, that said, currently the government is not allowed to deport American citizens. Okay, but when has the law stopped Donald Trump? Okay, he's not exactly following the laws on everything else, so what would stop him? That's the problem here. And the scariest thing about this, by the way, is that, look, if Donald Trump does manage to agree with this, or Marco Rubio, whatever, it's going to feed into something that his FBI nominee, Kash Patel, had previously talked about. This was during a 2022 appearance on Steve Bannon's War Room, right? Now, in that podcast, he argued that not only should officials at every level be ideologically aligned with Donald Trump, okay, so loyalty tests, everything, right? Everyone who works for him should be 100% aligned with his goals. Let me tell you what. Okay, but what if you're not? But you're still doing your job, right? Well, it doesn't matter. If you're not, you should be thrown in prison. Quote, and then personnel, is policy, and not just at the principal level. You got to go down 2, 3, 4 levels down. The undersecretaries, the assistant secretaries, the deputies, the chiefs of staff. They all have to be people who agree with the commander-in-chief and don't believe that they can overcome a commander-in-chief just because they think they're saving America. That's not how the chain of command works. All right, again, we're talking about government workers, okay? Government workers in the civilian government workforce, which, again, that's not the chain of command, okay? Now, he says, it didn't work like that when you were in the Navy, and it hasn't changed. And so we need to implement personnel across the board, not just the military, across the board that follows the commander-in-chief's process and policies, and that's the democratic process. Oh, I love how you talked about a democratic process. No. He said anyone violating that should be thrown out of government and maybe even put in jail. But we need a strong Department of Justice to do that. Well, Kash Patel looking to run the FBI, okay? And he is saying loyalty to the commander-in-chief should override any independent judgment, any legal obligations, or even the desire to protect the country from enemies, foreign and domestic, okay? No, it should be all loyalty to Donald Trump. And if not, if you can't do that, prison for you, sir. And perhaps one of the worst prisons overseas in El Salvador. One of the worst places imaginable. And that's if you don't follow Trump's illegal orders, which he is doing. He is putting out illegal orders. A lot of his executive orders are actually being challenged in court for their illegality. Okay, for example, getting rid of birthright citizenship. That's a constitutional right that has to be changed in the Constitution. Trump is ignoring the Constitution. That's an illegal order, but he put it out anyway. And so he's already put out a ton of unconstitutional orders like that. And if civil servants end up fearing the legal consequences for refusing these patently illegal orders, it will end the checks and balances in the government. And that's what this is designed to do. Okay? I mean, look, there's only one way to describe this, and that's authoritarianism. Okay? This man wants a regime that punishes dissent, rewards blind loyalty, and prioritizes Trump over the Constitution and the country. These civil servants have all taken pledges, loyalty oaths to the Constitution, not to one particular president. And they are not the same thing. Okay? And that's the thing. Again, that's really, really frightening. Look, Trump doesn't even have to take the deal to put Americans into El Salvadorian prisons, right? To make this kind of thing a reality, right? To scare people enough. It would, however, be extra incentive to scare people into compliance. And that's what's going on right now, is he is overwhelming people on purpose and scaring them into compliance. And already you have people in the government that are afraid enough of what's already going on, and they should be. They should be afraid. The media is afraid, obviously, and they're playing ball. They're complying. The Democratic Party is afraid, and they're also complying. They're passing Trump's nominees, voting for them, which is ridiculous. And this is all while he and Elon Musk together are setting fire to the country and the Constitution. We are in a full-blown crisis. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.